So there's a bunch of steps to get a 3D printer going. The biggest thing, they have to be level. If they're not level, nothing works well. All the filament will smear everywhere. So the first thing that you do is actually level it. I use a piece of origami paper, since it's about the right thickness, to test and make sure that the bed is level.
Can't see it with the camera.
Oh, sorry. No, it's fine. Yeah. Okay.
There's probably a scrubber you can put on.
Alright. So now that I've kind of made sure that the bed is level, which it is, I am going to confirm that it's happy. And then, while that is lowering again, I'm actually going to go ahead and load up the filament. And so, there's lots of different colors of filament that you can use. And for this particular thing, I'm actually just using some white filament. And so you do have to have everything kind of hot before you can load stuff in. It's just telling me that the filament didn't go in very well. There we go. This should do it. So once you've got your filament loaded in, then you can print. We are going to be printing, I'm not actually really sure what's on this thing. Okay. So now the whole thing is going to, the bed of the printer is going to heat up, because that has to be warm for the filament to stick to it. And then the printer head is getting really hot, about 210, 220 degrees Celsius. Exactly. And so that has to get pretty hot in order to melt the filament, because all that 3D printing is just very, very thin layers of plastic that are just kind of melted on top of each other in very specific ways. And so it will take some time to do its thing.
Here's the final product of the printer from yesterday, and we're going to ask some questions about 3D printers. So, what got you into 3D printing?
So what got me into 3D printing is actually a little bit of rivalry with another high school in Durham Public Schools, who shall go unnamed. But they have some 3D printers, and I thought it was grossly unfair. So I wrote a grant for our PTSA for a 3D printer, which they gave us money for a 3D printer, which is fantastic. And so it was some sibling rivalry that got me into 3D printing, really. Yeah.
Do you have any tips for beginners?
Gosh, there is so much. There's so many YouTube videos and information on the web about it. Find somebody on YouTube that you like and don't hate the way they sound, and they generally have pretty much all the same information.
And what do you like about 3D printing?
I like the process of 3D printing. Like, it's so interesting, just these infinitely tiny layers of plastic all coming together to build these amazing things. And I also like, there's just so many interesting choices out there of things to build, of things to do. My next big thing is to actually learn how to actually design some stuff for myself. There's some stuff for my bicycle that I'd like to design. So that's where I'd like to go next, yeah.
And what do you not like about 3D printing?
It's really hard sometimes to get the machines I know this sounds stupid, level, but it's really hard to get them leveled so that they'll actually print. Like, I've spent more hours than I care to think about trying to level one of the other 3D printers, and it doesn't like it. And so every single time I use it, I get a little frustrated with it, but we start back over from the beginning and re-level and get going again. But yes, leveling, I really hate leveling. Yeah.
And about how much does a 3D printer cost?
There is a huge range. You can get 3D printers from as little as like 150, well up into the multiple thousands. It just depends on how nice of one you want to get, how many features you want to get for it. But there's a lot of like really good like home market ones that are great to use, and a great way to see if you really actually like getting into 3D printing, because like most things take a few hours to print, so you don't just get to like drop in and just, you know, play with it for a little bit. Like, you have to wait it out. So, you know, it's worthwhile to see if you actually want to invest in any money in it before you do it. But there's so many cool things to do.
And about how long does a 3D printer take?
So right now it's printing a little plant pot, and that is going to take about 8 hours. This took about 5 hours, and you can see that it's kind of thickish, and because the more layers there are, the longer it's going to take. So this one took about 5 hours. I haven't ever printed anything that took more than, I don't know, overnight to print, but there's definitely opportunities to do that, depending on what you want. Yeah.
And is there anything else you'd like to add?
Hopefully, if you are interested in 3D printing, come and see me in the library. We're going to try and get together some folks to do some 3D printing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there's a few things that you need to do before you're able to actually print something on a 3D printer. You need to have some sort of a 3D file, and there's some really great websites out there that have all sorts of amazing models that you can use. There's printables, there's Thingiverse, and so all you have to do is download the actual files themselves, and then you have to use a slicer. And so there's different types of slicers, and they're all specific to their 3D printer. The one that we have is a Qidi printer. And so whenever I need to print something, I just pull open the Qidi software, and then I go to whatever file it is that I'm planning to slice, and you just have to open it up and change some settings in order to make it work correctly. So I'm going to actually do this plant pot. I downloaded already, and I need to flip it because it is, for some reason, rotated the wrong way. And once I have my model ready to print, I have to slice it. And so I just tell it all sorts of things, like how fast I want it to print, how hot the temperature is for the filament or for the print bed. And then once that's done, once I've made those decisions, then I can slice it and get the file ready to be downloaded and put on a flash drive in order to print.